Hey everybody, Boone Wyatt with the 323 Concept Furniture Restoration here. You are watching the 323 vlog, and today I am going to repurpose / refinish this dresser and little cabinet set that I got at a garage sale. It was intended to be used for an Airbnb, but it was in such bad shape that I didn't really have time to fix it up back when we were doing that. So I personally wouldn't typically redo these, but they're here, they're in my shop, and I wanted to be a little creative and see what I could do, because as you're gonna see, these things are a hot mess. They're not the best materials, but what do we do with a piece of furniture that may not be the best, but you might still see some potential with it? Well, without further ado, let's jump right in and take a look at them, see what's wrong, let's see how we're gonna go about refinishing these. Okay. So here is the cabinet and the 6-drawer dresser that we have. And one of the main reasons that I really wanted to salvage these is they have some really nice 1/4-inch thick glass tops that go on top. But anyways, as you see, let me get y'all some close-ups. It's MDF, which is medium density fiberboard. It's compressed sawdust, and it's been veneered over. As you see, the legs are in pretty bad shape, and it's almost like that on all of them. So, as you see on the dresser as well. And then this one also has the issue, if you notice, if I get level with this, you notice the drawers are sort of angling down all towards the center. Well, come to find out, if you sort of look real close, right there, there's a crack on a knot in the wood, and the whole dresser frame is starting to sink in. So that'll need to be addressed. Believe it or not, I actually sort of like the handles. I might change the finish of them instead of going with a chrome look like that, which this is also chrome. I think I'll refinish those. I did get some legs to go with these. They are bright brass, more mid-century style. So I'll probably redo the hardware with that mid-century brass look. Okay, so I've got some pretty fun options. I think they're gonna turn out really nice on this. So for the legs, I chose these nice bright brass, mid-century, real clean lines. So in order to achieve that, as you saw the legs earlier, they've got a little bit of a tapered look, but they're severely damaged. So I'm just gonna take my circular saw, just trim those straight. We're gonna get a really nice, clean, straight box look on this dresser. And I think that'll help match the drawers as well, because they're completely rectangular flat. So good candidate for that. As far as the color goes, I chose this Queenstown Gray. This is a General Finishes color. It's a milk paint. I think I had some in the shop. I think I wanted to use it up, and I really think it's going to look good on this piece. So with those two together, that contrast, I think is going to look really, really good. And lastly, for the top, I wanted to do something a little more creative, something I haven't done before, but I started thinking about it, and I think it's a really good idea, so we'll see. But I found some really good durable flooring at the hardware store, and this is a nice 8-inch plank, maybe even 10-inch. This is a pretty big plank, and I think we've got a 4-foot length on it, so we won't have very many joints, if any, on there. But I got that for the top. And then to line the top edges, I got this little trim piece, and I'll do a little video at the end, but it's basically a J channel where I can slide my flooring into the J channel, and then I'll glue down that top at the end. And I do want to still reuse the glass tops, so I'll take off these little grommets, or whatever you want to call them, while I do the top, and then I'll drill a hole up through there and reuse them. And that way I can still keep the glass top. So I think overall it's going to end up looking really good. We'll have a nice light colored top with a dark base, and the really nice mid-century brass legs. And overall I think it's going to look really clean and really elegant when we're done. So without further ado, let's jump right in and go about restoring this. All right, everybody, so we are past the phase of cleaning, sanding and cleaning, making sure we didn't have any more fill work that needed to be done. So now we're getting into the finishing stage. So I wanted to sort of talk just a little bit about the finishing stage, just to make sure I give myself ample time instead of doing a voiceover. So finishing is, in my opinion, one of the most important steps of the process. Between that and preparation, because either one, if you don't prep right, you're going to have terrible results. If you don't finish right, you're going to have terrible results, right? So a few things I do to ensure a really good finish, and that I've learned along the way just being self-taught and watching thousands of hours of YouTube videos. One, I like to use these 1 gallon mesh filters to filter my paint through. One of the worst things is when I was beginning, I used to not filter, and I thought, oh, it's coming from the factory, it's going to be really good quality paint and won't need any filtering. Well, I was wrong. A lot of the times gunk would, as it's feeding up through, it would get stuck in the nozzle, and I'd have to stop midway through, clean it all out. Huge headache. So I bit the bullet. It wasn't even much of a bullet to bite, but we got these mesh filters. I like to get those with these little 2-quart containers, and that's usually for furniture work. That's going to be plenty of finish for you. So anyways, put that in there. That's ready to go to put my finish into. So I personally have been spraying with the 3M PPS system. Not to say it hasn't been without its issues, but for the most part, it has worked great over the long run. But basically just put a disposable liner inside my hard plastic cup. We'll pour our finish in there. Okay, so on the 3M PPS, you've got your hard plastic cup. That takes the place of your typical metal cup that goes onto an HVLP system. And then you've got a disposable liner. So at the end, this is going to really help with cleanup time. But what I really like about these 3M PPS system is that finish, it just collapses in there. And that pressure, it's pressure fed. So all that pressure pushes the finish up into the gun. But like I said, at the end, the cleanup time is really good. But what I was getting at is when I'm using my metal cups, you can only spray like this, right? Up and down. If you start going sideways, you really risk finish backing up into your gun. So with this, you alleviate that, you eliminate that problem. So that's why I really like these. Okay, so as far as my primer goes, I have been using this Zinsser Ben shellac-based primer, probably for at least 2 years now. And the reason I really like that product, I would consider changing for the fact that it's pretty harsh. It takes denatured alcohol to thin it out or clean it up, or ammonia if you want to get ammonia, but the price really adds up. So if I can switch over to something water-based in the future, I think I'm going to go that direction. I just need to find one that's readily available in stores around us locally, so I don't have to have it shipped every time. But that being said, I used the Zinsser Ben shellac primer. This is some leftover from my last project. It's already in a 2-quart container, but I'm just giving it a real good stir, and then I'm going to pour it in my mesh filter, just make sure we get all contaminants out, and then from there I can put it into my 3M PPS cup and get ready to spray it. But the reason I like this primer a lot is it sticks to everything, and everything sticks to it. So it's really effective as a primer goes. You really minimize, honestly, you really minimize how much sanding you have to do at the beginning stage. Just a real light scuff sand and clean. And honestly, I've gotten by on a lot of projects using the deglosser degreaser by Crud Cutter. That's what I was using earlier to clean off all the panels after I sanded them. It deglosses and it really preps that surface to accept the primer. So, but if you want to be extra safe, give it a scuff sand. But like I said, this primer works really good either way. So without further ado, let's jump right into our finishing and get this thing primed. All right, so we've got our first coat of primer on, and two other things popped into my head as I was spraying. You know, the benefits of that Ben shellac primer is, one, it dries super fast, so you can sand it and put your second coat on extremely quick. The second thing that I really like about it is its sandability, and I just want to throw those two things in there just in case you're looking for a good primer. The only unfortunate thing about that primer, or two things, is one, like I said, it's pretty harsh, so you really want to mask up when you're spraying something like that. I have a good ventilation system and I'm still masking up, so you want to be careful. Two, it can be a little bit expensive. The prices have drastically increased over the last year. I think we used to get those for $40, $50 a gallon. If you buy the 5 gallon, it was a little bit cheaper, obviously, but now I think they're up to, I can't even remember, $75, $90, somewhere in that range. Prices are just getting ridiculous. So those are the two bad things, but it is an excellent primer, and I personally only recommend spraying it. I have tried brushing and rolling it, and since it dries so quick, unless you retard the drying process a little bit, you might have some issues. I wouldn't say you're most definitely going to have some issues, but it's definitely a lot harder to brush and roll than it is to spray if you have that option to spray. So anyways, let's jump right back in there, and honestly, it's probably just about ready for our second coat already. All right, so my pro tip of the day is don't begin finishing until you are positive that you have the material to clean out your spray gun after you're done. I forgot I had run out of denatured alcohol, so here we are at Home Depot, making sure we have what we need, but just a friendly reminder. Okay, just a quick tip before I install this last glide. Just wanted to point something out. As you see here, these are the bearing glides. They may not all be like this. You may have wooden glides, or there's a bunch of different styles, but this one specifically, this is the black bearing glides. And as you see, it's got this individual piece within it, and this is the bearings. I have found over installing hundreds of drawers, it's a lot easier to install if you have this pulled all the way towards the front. So just a little pro tip of the day, other than my making sure you have the right materials before you start the job, as you saw earlier, this is my pro tip of the day, and that's make sure you have this piece pushed all the way forward, and that just sort of helps get your drawer set. And when you're installing these, just it may give you a little resistance on the front end. Once you get it, I mean, if you feel it really resisting, you might reassess things, but otherwise you just got to put some tension and some force pushing that backwards, and usually once you get it in the first time, it pulls out and goes back in just fine. So let me know if you got any questions on that. Okay, one more thing I wanted to point out, something I see frequently on dressers and furniture in general, is top drawers. You may not know this, but top drawers will sometimes have this felt lining, and that's obviously for jewelry, for keepsakes, to keep those safe. That way they don't get scratched up. And a lot of the times, this one doesn't have it, but a lot of the times the bottom drawers will have a cedar lining. And a lot of people don't know this today. You know, it was a lot more common back in the older generation. They would have a lot of aromatic cedar hope chests. But I just sort of want to, I'm walking you through my shop real quick, but I just want to show you what that looks like. These are aromatic cedar planks, and you can line the bottom of your drawers with this if you want to help keep, I don't think I ever said, this helps keep moths away. The aromatic cedar will help keep moths away. So that was real common on older furniture. They would install aromatic cedar in the hope chest, and you still see that on some of the furniture today. And I have a lot of customers, I wouldn't mention this, but a lot of customers ask me pretty frequently, you know, why is this on the bottom drawer, or why is this on some of my drawers but not all of them? And that keeps the moths away from coming up from the bottom. So anyways, just wanted to point that out. And as you see, our installation is coming together. We've got our drawers all installed. I'm waiting on my handles to dry out. I've got the brass coating on those, so they're working on drying out. As you saw, I got the legs on. So now I'm going to start, I still need to let my handles dry just a little bit, and I'll show you those. I can start assembling my cabinet piece if I want to, but here is all my handles. We got a nice brass coating on those. They're coming along nice. They're almost dry, so once we let those dry out, we'll install those. But in the meantime, I think I'm going to go ahead and start the top of the dresser. I'm real interested to see what this looks like on there. So let's get to installing the top. All right, everybody, here's the final results, the final product. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope it brought value to projects that you may be working on in the future. If you got any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments. If you want any of the products or tools that we used, I'll put links in the video description so you can find those. As always, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. And like the video if you liked it. So hope to see y'all in the future. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.